Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome back to my channel. So the video that I have for you guys today is a case that involves a beautiful young woman who was murdered, and we basically know what happened, but for so many different reasons, things just happened in a way where it feels like justice just may not be served. This is a case that I was covering from the very beginning, and I was sort of waiting to cover it to see how everything would unfold. But unfortunately, the way everything turned out is very heartbreaking. This case means so much to me, and I really hope that by bringing this case to the attention of more people, that can help her family hopefully get justice for her. With that being said, let's get into today's case. Today, we are going to be discussing the murder of Miya Marcano. Miya Marcano was born on April 26, 2002 to parents Marlon Marcano and Yemas Gabriel. I'm so sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong. And had an older brother named Marlon Munchie Jr. Miya was described as being a family woman who absolutely loved and embraced her Caribbean culture, loved adventure, and always found a new way to make people smile. Her cousin says that she just had this magical way of bringing joy into every room that she walked into. Her family also describes her as a Jane of all trades. She took interest in modeling, pageantry, cheerleading, dancing, and horseback riding. She excelled in basically anything she put her mind to, whether it be winning several pageants or cheerleading events, or even being the junior queen of the band for several years. She was an absolutely beautiful girl on the inside and out. Miya spent a lot of her life moving around and traveling, which is something that she absolutely loved doing. She embraced her Caribbean culture like no other and absolutely loved being able to dress up and experience new things. She started school at Palm Cove Elementary School in Pembroke Pines, Florida, before relocating to the British Virgin Islands, where she attended First Impressions Primary School. She then moved to St. Croix in the Caribbean Islands and went to Alfredo Andrews Elementary School. After this, she moved back to South Florida and went to Pines Middle, then went on to attend Flanagan High School before graduating in 2020. After graduating high school, she was accepted into her dream college at the University of Central Florida to study nursing. She attended a few semesters here before transferring to Valencia College in Orlando, Florida, and changed her area of study to sports medicine. She was strong and independent while being compassionate and had a strong desire to help others in whatever way she could. She was also one of those people who wanted to make sure that she kept up to date with whatever trend was happening on Instagram or TikTok and made sure that her family kept up to date on whatever was happening too. Her family says that she wanted to help keep them young. Her family has set up an absolutely beautiful website to remember her, which I will go more into detail about later, but they included this amazing pamphlet of her life and so many pictures of her. Looking through it, you can see just how much she shined and illuminated light. You can see how much she loved life and those around her. I highly suggest you not only go ahead and visit her website, but to spend some time looking through all of these pictures and getting to know her. This family clearly cares so much for Miya, and she loved and cared for them just as much. I can't even describe how amazing it is to be able to look at all these pictures and feel like I can truly get to know Miya while also being heartbroken that knowing she's gone. So please, if you have a minute, just go to her website and take a minute to get to know her. Now, September 24th, 2021 started as a pretty exciting day for Miya. She was supposed to be boarding a flight that evening to fly home and visit her family in Fort Lauderdale. This is only about an hour flight, and she had been in contact with her family all day. She had been at work that day, texting her family that she would be boarding her flight after she was done with work that day. However, she just suddenly stopped contacting her family altogether at around 5 p.m. When she had about an hour left for work, her dad texted her to have her let him know when she boarded her flight, and then said that he loves her. She texted him back saying that she loves him too. But after this, nothing. She stopped texting and to her family, it appeared as if her phone had been turned off. This was pretty weird and alarming to the family because they knew that she always kept her phone charged, she never let it die, and she never turned it off. But this concern grew into an absolute panic when they found out that Miya had not checked into her flight and completely missed her flight. So at around 9:23 p.m. that night, Miya's mother called the Orange County Sheriff's Office to report that they could not get into contact with Miya. So they dispatched an officer to the Arden Villas apartment complex where she lived and worked at the leasing office to check in on the well-being of Miya. When the officer got there, he went and talked to Miya's roommate, who told them that she left the complex at around 5 p.m. to start driving towards the airport so she could get on her flight. The officer tried entering her bedroom, but it was locked, so he went outside and then went around and looked into her bedroom through the window. Of course, she was not in her room, but the officer said that it didn't look like anything was out of the ordinary. The room was clean, and the officer noted that nothing stood out to him as being suspicious. After this, the officer left without thinking anything else of it. However, I will note that the family would later come out to say that they completely disagree with what police initially stated in their wellness check. They said that her room was actually pretty disarrayed with jewelry on the ground, the bed was not made, and her dresser was actually pushed in front of her door to prevent anybody from getting in. This was in great contrast to what her room normally looked like because according to her family, she was meticulously clean. So to them, this indicated that there had been a struggle in her room. They also noted that there was a small stain of blood on her pillowcase. Additionally, they found a box cutter that they say did not belong to Miya under a rug in her room. Police also noted in their initial wellness check that her bedroom window was unlocked, but this officer didn't think that this was suspicious. However, the family would later come out to say that her dad had actually just recently bought her new locks for her window specifically so that nobody could get in, and it was very concerning to him that the window was unlocked. They're really frustrated that her window being unlocked didn't raise more of a concern to them, especially since they claim that Miya's roommate told the officers about the new locks on her window. I just want to note all of those discrepancies for now, and I'll go further into why this is so frustrating and so important later in the video. When hours passed and they still hadn't heard from Miya, they knew that something was wrong, so they asked for an officer to return back to the complex to check on her again. But when no one could find her and they still could not get a hold of her by 1:30 a.m. on September 25th, her family officially reported her as a missing person. It was also around this time that her parents started the 4-hour drive to her apartment complex in Orlando, and they arrived there shortly after 3 a.m. Now, when police went back to speak to Miya's roommate again, they told them that Miya was actually being stalked by a maintenance worker at the Arden Villas apartment complex. Other students who knew Miya also confirmed this, saying that this man sent her tons and tons of harassing messages. Miya's family also said that they knew about a man stalking her and harassing her as well. This man was 27-year-old Armando Caballero. So the first person in Miya's family to arrive to the apartment complex was Miya's aunt, Simone. When she arrived there, she was actually approached by a man who she didn't recognize at first but would soon realize was Armando. Armando went up to her and asked her if she was there looking for Miya. When she asked who he was, he said, "I'm the maintenance guy. I heard you're looking for me." So obviously, that's very suspicious and concerning. Then, as police were starting to gather on the scene, Armando went over to police as well and told them that he heard from a mutual friend that Miya was missing. So police questioned him regarding the day of September 24th, as well as the allegations against him of him stalking Miya. He admitted to police that he was trying to date Miya, but she denied him, so he stopped trying to talk to her. He said that they stayed friends, but nothing more. He wasn't upset. He wasn't angry, and they were very cordial to one another, according to him. He said that the last time he saw Miya was on Thursday, September 24th at around 3 p.m. when he was working. Again, she also worked at the apartment complex at the leasing office, so he said that's the last time that he saw her. By the time other members of Miya's family arrived on scene at the apartment complex, Armando was still there and he was speaking with police. So the family went over to him and they confronted him about his obsession with Miya. They actually recorded this interaction on their cell phone, so I will include a clip of that. He is first seen talking with police. Apparently, he was talking about someone named Tati, who is apparently friends with Miya, but her family says that none of them even know who Tati is, and said that her friends have also never heard of who this person is, so I believe they're basically saying that he's making this person up. Then, they can be seen confronting him about the obsessive text messages that he sent Miya, saying that he sends her money on Cash App and that he was obsessed with her. He then responds by saying that this infatuation actually went both ways. He said that the only reason that he's inserting himself in the investigation is because he's really concerned about her, and they asked, why are you just now concerned hours after she went missing? And he said that he's only now concerned because he just found out about her being missing. He maintains that he doesn't know where she is and that she won't respond to his text messages either, and that he's concerned too.
But no one knows Tati.
You keep mentioning Tati and no one knows Tati.
You get a call, the all roommates of a sudden, don't even know Tati.
You've been sleeping since 10 o'clock and all of a sudden you're showing up here at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for me.
Because me and Tati were conversating about it till I finally, it came up.
But
Should
Tati
I go and
is
see
someone,
if I see anything?
No one knows Tati. That's my whole thing. Not
Tati
even the roommate knows Tati.
Here.
She's an employee, but you keep saying Tati is a friend and that you've all hung out together. No one here knows Tati. All her other friends showed up. Her closest friends that live in the complex were all here with us early on. No one knows Tati. Only you. Whoever Tati is, and Tati's on the phone, she shouldn't even be on the phone right now. As of right now, you have sent obsessive texts to Miya. We have all seen the text. You talked about giving her your life savings. You cash apped her money, and you claim that you weren't in touch.
Who told her
it's
her
on
life
text.
savings? I never
said that. As a matter of fact, we're going to get a police report to pull your phone records if that's the case.
What you have to do?
There's evidence of obsession, of something. You're fascinated with me.
It's not only from my side, so don't try to make this.
No one's saying that. It takes.
She's not here to defend herself right now, so
obviously
she's missing.
You. So we're talking to you, who've been going back and forth on text.
That is your family,
right?
But until we figure out what's going on, just don't beat me up.
Nobody's beating you up.
If I'm guilty,
but you put yourself in the middle right here. You brought yourself over here.
Because we're concerned.
You're concerned. Why weren't you concerned hours ago?
I just found out.
All right, cool, no problem.
So
in the first few hours,
how did Tati find out?
We didn't think it was serious. I don't even know how Tati found out.
Somebody's missing and you don't think it's serious.
Maybe they hanging out. They got this place right here. They go downtown. I don't know. Maybe her phone's off. I don't know what she did.
She would use somebody's phone and call her dad or her grandmother, somebody.
She was supposed to show up for a flight and didn't show up.
I can come back tomorrow.
Officer, can I ask you a question?
At this point, the family was trying to show police the obsessive text messages that Armando was sending Miya, but I saw in some articles that the officer was unable to read these messages. I'm not sure exactly why. It was just stated flatly as I was unable to read these text messages. I'm not sure why he was unable to read them, and again, I haven't really seen it explained very much either. Either way, at this point, police said that they did not have enough to detain Armando or arrest him, so they had no choice but to let him go. But as Armando was getting into his car to leave the apartment complex, Miya's family noted that a key fob fell out of his lap. So the family asked the apartment complex if they could access the security footage and access the information from this key fob. But the apartment complex said that they couldn't give them any of this information without permission from police. So while police did search the area and they got help from numerous volunteers, police didn't really treat Miya's disappearance as a high priority case at first. They basically told the family at first, if you haven't heard from Miya by Tuesday, so almost a week after she disappeared, that at that point they would go back and look at the security videos and look at the information on that key fob. But as the hours went on, they found more more and more reason to continue looking into Armando and consider her case as a more high priority case. So by 8:47 a.m. on the next day, or I guess the same day, September 25th, officers with the Castleberry Police Department responded to Armando's apartment after receiving a call from Mia's family saying that he was seen with a glove, a backpack, and a pink blanket, aka Mia's blanket. They witnessed him taking these items out of the car and then carrying them into his building. And there is video that actually shows this.
And we said the same thing. Why haven't they gone into his apartment? Why didn't they search him? But he had a screwdriver in his front, the passenger side. Hold on. We watching him.
He's still in.
Kaylee, tape it, huh?
How the fuck did that happen?
My stomach.
Am I on your joint? How the fuck did that happen? What is he doing? What is he taking out?
He's taking out. He has gloves.
He has gloves.
He has gloves in his hands.
He has gloves.
Gloves and what else?
The blanket.
Oh my god, that is my blanket!
After this, police and the family were able to briefly look through Armando's apartment with his permission as he stood there watching them. I haven't seen if anything of significance was found, but I assume they didn't really find anything because he was not arrested or detained from these searches. The family and police left the apartment, and shortly after, by 3 p.m., Armando left the apartment complex as well. At that point, he wasn't considered a suspect. It wasn't until 4:30 p.m. that day that police finally started to consider him as a person of interest. They were able to secure a search warrant based on a past burglary arrest, in addition to what was found on his key fob and security cameras at the apartment complex, and what was on his cell phone records. So now I'm going to be going over the timeline that police put together based on all of these different elements put together. So at 2:14 p.m. on September 24th, the deadbolt to Mia's apartment was opened by someone using the master key that was in Armando's possession. Then again at 4:34 p.m., her deadbolt was again opened by the key fob that Armando was using. This was about a half hour before Mia's shift was over. At 5:06 p.m., Miya used her key fob to enter her apartment. Then by 5:52 p.m., Armando's car leaves the Arden Villas apartment complex. By 7:02 p.m., he placed a fake maintenance call. Then by 7:11 p.m., Armando calls the office staff to be let into the gate into the apartment. Police believe that he did this in order to establish an alibi that he wasn't on the premises when he actually was. Then they saw that between 8:20 p.m. and 8:40 p.m., he went to a nearby apartment complex called the Timber Scan Apartments. They found out that the last known activity on Armando's phone was sent out at 9:35 p.m. on September 25th, the day after Miya went missing. So based on all of this very damning evidence, police were able to obtain a search warrant by 5:44 p.m. that same day, September 25th. So by 1:30 a.m. on September 26th, police went over to his apartment complex at the Sabal Club Apartments in Longwood to start their search. They had been searching in his apartment as well as around the premises on the apartment complex when they actually found Armando's body hanging in a garage in his complex. He had died of an apparent suicide, basically confirming his guilt and confirming that he took the coward's way out rather than facing consequences for his decisions. So, obviously, him taking his own life basically confirms what we already knew. He did something to Miya, but at this point, her family was still holding out hope that maybe she was still alive out there somewhere. Maybe he had just been holding her against her will and that somebody would find her. This entire time, the searches for Miya never stopped. They started their searches by looking in the wooded area around her apartment complex. They even utilized helicopters, sniffer dogs, and used dive teams to search the different bodies of water in the surrounding areas. Her father took to Facebook to write, quote, "Mimi, my heart is aching. I haven't slept or eaten in days. Where are you, baby? Your whole family is here looking for you. No one will stop until you're back home. I'm slowly losing my mind over here. Never have we ever gone so long without even a text message to each other. If you're able to read this message, please know that your daddy and the entire world loves you. Please don't lose faith. We will find you. I love you always and forever. But even after Armando's body was found, they continued searching just as hard. They searched his apartment complex where he took his own life, thinking that maybe she was there. They searched various parks around the area and handed out flyers with her picture and her information on them. They searched through the wooded areas near the Cibal Club apartment complex along with different hiking trails. Basically, they tried to go into it with the mindset of, okay, he's gonna put her somewhere where he thinks that nobody will think to go. And that's where we need to search. But after day of finding absolutely nothing relating to Miya, her family was getting really frustrated and really confused. They knew that if it kept going like this, of just not finding anything, that they would have to scale back on their search efforts because they simply weren't coming up with anything. And obviously, that is a parent's worst fear. They don't want anybody to stop trying. They don't want to scale things back, but it gets to a point where you kind of need to. However, going back to Armando's cell phone data, they found out that between 8:20 and 8:40 p.m., he was at an apartment complex called Timber Scan, about 17 miles west of Arden Villas. This wasn't somewhere they thought to search at the beginning of this because, as far as I've seen, no one that they knew lived there, and he didn't really have any connections to this apartment complex. Plus, his phone records showed that he went to a bunch of different places around the time that she went missing, probably to throw police off of his trail. His phone was pinging off of a bunch of different towers, so they didn't really know which place in particular that they should put their search efforts. But on October 2nd, police went and searched the wooded area near that apartment complex, and there, the family's absolute worst nightmare came to fruition. The body of 19-year-old Miya Marcano was found wearing jeans and a bra, as well as a robe with her hands, feet, and mouth bound with duct tape. Near her body, they did find her purse that contained her ID. So right away, they were pretty certain that the body that they found belonged to Miya, but of course, they still sent her into the medical examiner for an autopsy, and there they did confirm the body as belonging to Miya. Now, police have come out and said that there isn't any sign of sexual assault on Miya's body. However, as far as I've seen, I don't think they know her exact cause of death yet. This is a very recent case, and these types of autopsies take a very long time, so I'm not exactly sure when we're officially going to know her cause of death. But either way, based on all of the evidence that police have been able to find, they believe that Armando had entered Miya's apartment and then waited there for her until she got off of work, and then there was some sort of struggle, and then he killed her before dumping her where she would later be found. Of course, the motive is thought to be that he was obsessed with her, made advances towards her, and then she rejected him, and he took her life because of that. So that's pretty much where the case lies, but of course, after all of this happened, there were so many questions, and some of them were, how was this predator even able to be hired for this job to begin with? The Arden Villas apartment complex came out with the following statement. After a thorough review of the ongoing reporting on the situation surrounding Miss Marcano, we would like to provide the following factual updates. Regarding our hiring process, all potential employees are vetted through a national background check services provider. Concerning Mr. Caballero specifically, no records of either burglary or sexual assault were found, and rumors to the contrary appear to be based on online documents referencing someone else with the same name. As a part of the onboarding process, all new employees undergo thorough sexual harassment deterrence training, covering aspects from recognizing what qualifies as inappropriate to how to report unwanted behavior. We take all accusations very seriously, but received none from any parties involved directly or indirectly with the situation. To ensure nothing like this happens again at Arden Villas, we are taking numerous proactive steps to enhance our security protocols. We immediately repositioned a guard to the front of the gate to document all residents and guests entering and leaving the premises. Additionally, we have upgraded our maintenance procedures to allow for appointment-only bookings. We are in the process of reviewing our entire security apparatus and will make changes changes or upgrades as warranted. But this isn't enough. The family has filed a wrongful death suit against the Arden Villas apartment complex, saying that they gave Armando unlimited access to Miya as well as other tenants in the apartment complex by giving him this master key. They said that Miya expressed to several people, including her coworkers and apartment management, that he was stalking her, and they did nothing about it. And I would have to agree, based on what we know, Miya told her parents, her friends, and her classmates that this man was stalking her and harassing her. I guarantee she would have brought it up to her coworkers, if not the management, because clearly she was concerned enough about it to tell other people and to get new locks on her windows. So why wouldn't she go to management and tell them? But still, there was even more information that came out about Armando that is very frustrating. I do understand, obviously, that background checks will pick up any charges or anything in someone's past that is flagged. But what if police don't do anything about someone's past violent behavior? Then there's really nothing that you can do to know who you're hiring or know who you're working with and to protect young women who live at these facilities. Unsurprisingly, Armando had a bit of a history when it comes to harassing women. In March of 2021, another woman accused Armando of harassing her and other women. In this incident, this woman told police that Armando had written her a note asking her to go out on a date with him, to which she agreed to go with him a couple days later. However, he changed his mind and asked her if she would go on a date with him that same day. And she changed her mind. She said never mind and canceled their date altogether. This same night, she was in her first floor apartment in her bedroom when a gym weight came crashing through her window and shattering the glass. Turns out, allegedly, after being rejected, Armando threw a gym weight through her window. Police cam footage shows the window with a hole through it from the weight being thrown in, but charges were never filed against Armando, so the incident was just filed as a suspicious incident. But even beyond the past mistakes that allowed Armando to be employed as a maintenance worker in the first place, the family is very frustrated with how this investigation was handled from the very beginning. As I stated earlier, there was a bunch of different inconsistencies with how police initially reported that her room was when they did their wellness check versus how the family said that they found it. As we stated earlier, her room was in disarray and a dresser was pushed in front of her door to prevent anybody from getting in. Now, I will say from a police perspective, if you're just looking into someone's window, you see an unmade bed, you see couple things on the floor, you're not immediately going to think that there was a struggle. If you don't know that she's a meticulously clean person, then you won't really see the things on the floor and think of it as suspicious. But pushing a dresser in front of your door should have been something that they noticed right away. And they even noticed that her window was unlocked, so I imagine they lifted it up to look inside, so they probably saw it. So I don't know how that didn't raise a red flag for them that there was literally a dresser pushed in front of her door. Then the family was also very frustrated that despite the stacking evidence against Armando that he did something to Miya, that he wasn't arrested or detained. Because of their lack of action, the person who is most likely responsible for Miya's death is now dead and can't give any answers to the mounting number of questions that they have. Then there's another aspect to this case that are making not just Miya's family, but many families who lose loved ones very frustrated and angry. There have been several cases of people going missing around the same time that the Gabby Petito case was going on. As you guys all know, I covered the Lauren Cho case, who unfortunately she was found deceased, but still her case, including so many others' case, just have not gotten close to the amount of attention that Gabby's case had gotten. This makes so many families very frustrated and upset just seeing how much coverage Gabby's case got, and that they know, well, my loved one is missing and no one's looking for them. It seems like the entire country was so focused on this one case and nobody cares about our missing loved one. And this happened in Florida, the same state that all of this was happening with Gabby Petito, so I can see how that's even more frustrating for them. These cases that don't get as much attention often involve people of color, And it seems like to them that the media simply doesn't care about a case if it involves a person of color. So that is one of the main reasons that I wanted to make sure I went ahead and covered Miya's case, because her case just has not gotten close to the amount of attention that it deserves. I think it's totally understandable for her family and other families to see how much attention Gabby's case got, and then their case just wasn't being looked at the same way. So as I stated earlier, Miya's family has created an absolutely beautiful website in dedication to her. It's called the Miya Marcano Foundation, and their mission is to support, educate, and provide resources to families of missing persons while advocating for the protection of students and our most vulnerable population. They're also working to pass Miya's Law in the state of Florida. They have a change.org petition as well as information on their website that outlines what this law is for and why it's needed. Reading from their petition, quote, Florida residents are being coerced against their will to remain in environments that are inductive for their personal safety due to current laws governing landlord-tenant relationships. Stricter laws must be implemented and enforced that require landlords to obtain extensive background checks on employees whose duties entail the gaining of permissible access into residential dwellings. Currently, landlords are free to gain access to tenants' dwellings with notice as little as only 12 hours, evict tenants for reporting safety and security complaints, unrestrictedly update tenants' records with derogatory marks, which negatively impacts the tenant's credit and rental history, implicating the tenant's inability to secure future residents, avoid criminal penalty when employees use apartment-issued resources to commit crimes against tenants, and hire employees and give them master access without proper background checks. Then, reading directly from Miya's website, they state, quote, Miya's Law is a proposed bipartisan legislation in the state of Florida that endeavors to ensure an elevated expectancy of residential security and personal safety on residential properties in the state of Florida. In this light, stricter governance such as implementation of higher levels of background checks and limitation on the use of master keys will ensure protection of tenants and aid in strengthening the relationships between landlords and tenants. The enforcement of Miya's Law will increase the safety and protection of our most vulnerable population, to include students, children, single mothers, senior citizens, tenant victims, and over 2.8 million Florida residents residing in single or multi-unit residential properties. Residential security and personal safety are undoubtedly among the first lines of defense in the protection of tenants residing in residential communities, and a solid baseline must be established and upheld to safeguard tenants. Safety and security are basic human rights, right to life, and should be regarded as such. Miya's Law will help ensure the protection and well-being of our most vulnerable population, further reassuring tenant safety and security within residential communities. Because of Miya's Law, lives will be saved. You can sign the petition to support Miya's Law, which will be linked down below. Of course, I also linked Miya's website down below, where you can learn more about her life, and how you can be a part of the change. So that is pretty much all I have for today's video. I am so impressed with Miya's family and all that they're doing to try to help other people like Miya stay safe in these situations. It's so amazing and impressive how they're able to take this unimaginable tragedy and make something so amazing and positive out of it. I am honored to be telling Miya's story, and I really, really hope that they're able to find justice for this beautiful life taken far too soon. I am so very frustrated that Armando took the coward's way out and decided to just leave this family without any answers as to why this happened or how this happened, or even just face consequences for his actions. Her family deserves at least that, at least somebody to take responsibility for what they did, but they don't even get that in this case. So again, it's just so amazing what her family is doing, and I really hope that they're able to actually make these changes that they're trying so hard to make. But either way, that is where I'm going to end today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Miya's story. I really hope that you can support her and her family and learn even more about what an amazing person Miya was. If you liked this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to go ahead and turn the notification bell to on so you don't miss any of my future videos. Don't forget to go ahead and follow my Twitter and Instagram. Both will be linked down below. And I will keep up to date with this case. If anything comes out about her autopsy and what the medical examiner says, I will be sharing that over on Twitter. So make sure you go ahead and follow me there to keep up to date on this case and any other case that I cover. If you have absolutely any case suggestions, please make sure to go ahead and send them to my email at RachelShannonCases@gmail.com. With that, I hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.